Welcome to Music Matters 2020, and we're live. Thank you for joining us for our unique podcast community. We are currently the fastest growing classical music podcast on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Remember to hit that subscribe button and click that bell for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. Remember to use the chat feature to join the conversation. We love it when our community joins in the conversation with these wonderful artists and with us, and we exist as a resource to the classical community to tell the innovations during this COVID period where musicians in 2020 have such incredible challenges and also are doing such amazing things in the light of this pandemic. So thank you so much for joining us. Remember to like our videos, to share our community, and to join our community. Thank you so much. We have two wonderful guests today, a married couple of elite classical musicians. We have Wanzhe Zhang, who's a soprano, and we have Quan Yuan, a very talented violinist and member of the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra. Welcome to you both. So thank you for joining Music Matters 2020. Why don't you share your individual stories, your artistic journeys, and we'll start from there. A Boston marriage. Wonderful.
Organization in Boston, and a few Chinese musicians in Boston. We found the Boston Chinese Musician Association, and now I'm the president of the Boston Chinese Musician Association, and then also I'm working as a freelancer singers and singing all around the world with my husband and with other great musician friends.
Wonderful. How great that you get to make music with your husband on occasion. It's always, I know it's such a challenge when you both have jobs and you're running around, but that you can plan to make music together. What an incredible blessing that is.
Yeah, that's great. So this is Quan Yuan. So originally born in Beijing, China, and I studied learning violin when I was 4. And so after the middle school, finishing the middle school in Beijing, I went to the Curtis Institute of Music, studying with the old concertmaster of the BSO, Mr. Joseph Silverstein, who just passed away a couple of years ago. And then after that, I went to NEC where I, met her, studying for like another couple of years until I won the Met audition in 2015. I was very lucky, of course you have to be good, but also, luck is a big part with a job anyway. So since then, it's been 5 years that I work at the Met, which is really, really great experience so far before the pandemic hit us. That's basically, and during summers, usually we just, go places and, travel a lot and play together. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's such an incredible journey both of you have had. And how do you guys plan to work together? I see that I see you both have a very active schedule, and you both have very busy schedules. Well, reading your bios, how do you get to perform together, and how do you make those opportunities happen?
Yeah, actually, first happened as you just played that recording. That was my first Master of Music graduate recital. So I had this Chinese art song cycle, and one of the pieces is for soprano, violin, and piano. So I was thinking, I need to find a violinist to play for my recital.
We were roomies back then, so we share a house.
Yes, we were.
And then she was like, "Okay, this guy sound okay." No. Yeah, that's where it started. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and he's very talented, not only for playing the violin, and also he is very good at arranging music. So for that group of the Chinese art song, I have only one piece was written for the violin, soprano, and piano. So I asked him, is that possible to arrange the whole cycle with the violin, soprano, and piano? So he did a fantastic job. And since then, we had this Chinese song cycle played all around the world in China, in the States, and in Europe, and so that become to our like a repertoire, and even a lot of musician friends. All around the world who were heard our recordings on YouTube, they find me on Facebook asking for the violin parts so they can get playing that song cycle.
Yeah, whenever new song cycles come out, singers just love to delve into that. What a great thing to bring something new into the repertoire.
Right. And speaking of playing together with our busy schedule, I always keep my husband's schedule in my calendar. So whenever a chance came in, and then I would think about like, okay, so if this time of period work for him, and then I can kind of like making my schedule to meet his schedule. So we at least we played once per year. Together, like a very formal recital in the world. We have this series like X plus YZ. It came up really interesting because Y is my husband's last name, Yuan, and the Z is my name, last name, Zhang. And the X means could be anybody. So like anybody of our friends and musician colleagues can join us, and then we call like a lifelong friendship concert tour. So if we go to Serbia, we will invite local Serbian musician friends to join us. And if we go to Greece, we have like a great Greece musician to join us for the concert. So we keep this concert tour ongoing.
What a great way. And music's all about making music with people, and making music with friends makes it very special, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very nice, and she's actually the one in the family who runs things, and then she know exactly my schedule is like, and it's like, okay, so you're free next week. Here we go. Going to blah, 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 talk to your orchestra manager, to ask to be released for like 2 weeks. We're going to Greece. And I was like, I'm not sure. Okay, just do it. Okay, well, just do it. And then it turned out, oh, well, we always have fun together. So, I just, I obey.
That sounds like the recipe for a wonderful marriage. That's a good advice for everyone on the show watching, that to have that organizing person and to obey. So tell me about, you seem to be very involved in Chinese folk music. Has that been a part of your life always, both of you?
Yes, actually, the Chinese music has been really taking a big part of our lives. And I grew up with my family with none of our parents are like studied professional musicians. But my dad really loves singing. And I just learned from him. Whatever he sang, I just like sing along with him. So I grew up with the traditional Chinese music a lot. And then until my high school, I'm not into any of like the professional training yet. I just sing as what I like to. Then, well, that was a chance I have to, thanks to my mom and my grandfather who passed away a long time ago. So they supported my it's kind of like my dream. Like I love to sing, and then they just support me to go to Beijing to take the audition for the Beijing Central Conservatory. And then since my age of 16, when I entered the college there, that was how my professional path started. So as one of the major topic in the conservatory, Chinese music is one of our major things to start it with. And since I moved to the States 11 years ago, I found out that the Chinese music was so welcomed in the States and also in Europe, because it's full of the beauty like from the East. Like that's why we always call like East meets West.
That's a wonderful story, and it's so great that you get to engage with the culture from your home here in Boston as well, and to bring that culture and to enrich that culture through your singing and your playing. Quan, did you play a folk Chinese instrument growing up before the violin?
Not really. I mean, we have erhu, of course, everyone knows, but I started with the violin, but works pretty well for the Chinese music too. As the singers,
Absolutely.
they rooted in Chinese before you learn, how to pronounce Italian and English. They just start with, singing the Chinese folk songs. And for a violinist, that too, there are many wonderful Chinese pieces written, for a violin. And then, well, people in China play that a lot. And then I would say, right now I work at the Met, so I know opera, and then, I wouldn't compare that to baking opera, but although they're all called operas, but, so different. And then I wouldn't compare one piece to another, but they're so different in a different way, but with the same amount of beauty. So I love to play the Chinese music, and I think they are worth to, get known more by more people all over the world. So no matter where, where I go playing a recital, or even, after concerto playing an encore, or, even the graduation recital at Curtis and in New England Conservatory, I both played some Chinese music, and I think the people here everywhere just love them.
I think it makes any recital program so personal when someone brings something from themselves to the stage, and it's a beautiful way to teach everyone culture, and and we're saying an explosion of really great Chinese composers. Do you get to meet and work with the composers, the Chinese composers who are blasting on the international scene?
Yeah, you did like.
Yeah, I know. Well, there's the first time I played like a piece by Yi Chen. She's like, do you know her? And it's a quite famous female composer. I actually gave the world premiere when I was like of one of her pieces when I was like 9-year-old in Beijing. It's written for orchestra and 2 violins. And then later, of course, I played some Tan Dun and Liang Lei. I don't know.
Lei Liang.
Lei Liang
Who just
and
won
Long Zhou and right. I love playing contemporary Chinese music too. Yeah.
Well, it's great to see new composers enter Western classical music, and we're seeing such an explosion of great artists from many different places. And I think that's really healthy for Western classical music to have the influences from other places, from African American, from Chinese, from roots in other places. I think it adds so much. We can all learn so much from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, when you founded the organization in Boston, how did that come to be?
So we had so many Chinese musicians in the United States, and in Boston and the northeastern part we have especially a lot because of the schools and also the organizations. Then we found a lot of Chinese musicians when they moved to the northeast. They couldn't. There is no like gathering place, because they always need help with promoting themselves and then get them known for the local audience. Then 10 of our local Chinese musicians, we have this idea, how about let's just start an organization and to help all the Chinese musicians in the Boston area. At the beginning, we were just think about okay, we can provide what we have now, and we can share our experience, and then just help them to start their new life here. But then it just came up really well. A lot of Chinese musicians are joining us. Some of them are already professionals, and some of them were professional musicians, but they changed their career after they moved to the States. But they still like playing their instruments. They are they are teaching. So we start with about like 20 musicians together. But after years, we formed this Boston Chinese Musicians Orchestra. It's a combined of traditional Chinese instruments and Western instruments, and we gave like a big symphonic concert. And also after that, we established the Boston Chinese Musicians Association choir. All those choir members are auditioned for our organization, but all of that is like a small version of the TFC. Non-musicians, non-professional musicians, they all like engineers, doctors, and lawyers. They are doing a lot of different works, but they are just like love music so much.
I've discovered with those avocational ensembles, I've conducted doctors' orchestras, and also I have a lot of choral societies where these musicians give so much. And I was reminded when I was working in New York City when I was a young singer, they reminded me that amateur means for the love of. So some of these performers really give their heart and soul. So that's really an admirable goal, is to build an organization like that where the community can engage and celebrate. Now, can people of all ages participate in that?
That one we have the adults, like it's an adults choir. Mm-hmm. So there's no age limit on the top. Whoever can pass the audition. We are very strict for the audition, though. And the average of the choir members, they have been participating in the other choir, the local community choirs over like 10 years. And some of them are like the leaders, like what's the name, like the section leaders of their choirs. Yes, but we informed this youth orchestra last year because we want to get the next generation trained how to play the traditional Chinese instrument. And our next step is to form the children's choir under the Boston Chinese Musician Association's guide. So that's our planning.
How many years? Now you started that, and you said in 2011?
It was start 2012 actually.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Good. So it's been a few years, and it's growing. And congratulations on that. For folks who may not know, so. What's it like? What's a schedule pre-COVID? What's the schedule for an orchestral player at the Metropolitan Opera like?
Oh, well, first of all, it depends on the repertoire. I mean, if it's like some really famous La Traviata, like La Bohème, the opera everyone knows, we wouldn't have many rehearsals on that. Usually just one rehearsal. There are three different kinds of rehearsals. The first one is called just for the orchestra reading, and there wouldn't be singers, just the orchestra itself rehearsals with the conductor. And then we have the Sitzprobe, and then that means, just not on the stage, but we rehearse with the singers. And then we have the regular rehearsals, on the stage. And of course, we have a final dress rehearsal, and that's not a rehearsal. That's basically just a run through. Actually, there are people in the audience, and there, we recently invite a lot of kids into the audience if the opera is suitable for kids, and for the rehearsals, usually it takes place in the morning, either from 10:30 to 1 or 11 to 1:30, something like that. But it also depends on the length of the opera. If it's like
Wagner.
Wagner, yeah. I was gonna say, or that would, it will start at 11, and after the run, it will be like 4:00 p.m. already. So, and then the show starts at 7:30 or 8. So, also depends on the length of that work. And we are required to play 4 shows a week, while there are 7. They actually just changed the policy, before, the half season before March, we actually had some performance on Sunday. That's a new policy. But before that, didn't go long anyway. But before that, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the Saturday matinee, and then Saturday evening, and no performances on Sundays. So there are 7 performances. You are required to play 4 of them. And then if they're short of people, they would call you to play an orchestra. Well, if you're willing to. So usually when they call, I will do a 5th show, and even sometimes a 6th show. And but shoot, you don't want to do more than that.
That's a lot of playing.
After rehearsals that would plus 6 shows in the evening, you will be doomed. That's not life anymore. So, but it's really nice when the singers are great and conductors are great and the opera is that you like. Oh, what a treat! Time just pass by so fast, and we really enjoy that much.
Did you always know you wanted to play opera? Was that something you thought that might be a career path, or was that just the fit?
Well, I wouldn't over beautify it, but it happened quite random because we're getting married but I was still in school, so we had to talk. And so it's like, hey, probably it's time to go out of school and get a job. So sure. And then I gave the first try, took an audition in Detroit, and it didn't really happen. And then, the Met audition was recommended by one of my colleagues who also studied with the same teacher with me when we were back in school. She just said, hey, why don't you come here? It's a really good orchestra. And then she was working in the orchestra back then, and then girls look pretty, and then you see everything. And I said sure. So I just gave it a try, and then it just happened like that. And then it turned out she's a singer. She loves opera and she sings them. And that's great. Otherwise, I wouldn't be overlap so much, and I wouldn't even be able to know so much about what she's doing, what she's singing, but all the it's just I think it's just meant to be.
And let's talk, what repertoire do you like when you're not performing? What's your favorite types of repertoire, just in general? And is it a lot of the same repertoire, or is it different repertoire?
You mean the operas?
Sure.
In general.
Both.
Well, they're pretty much the same. I mean, I'm not so into contemporary works, contemporary operas. I don't hate them, but if you have some other choices like Puccini or Wagner, Mozart, of course I would play, choose one of those. But playing Mozart is actually quite, Mozart and Wagner. Those are two, for the violinists you want to be aware of. Because they're so long, and you got really a handful. You don't really play the violin down, and it could be hurt you. But still, it's Mozart. So, right, I like those. And besides operas, well, since I'm a violinist, I will still enjoy all the standard violin repertoire, all the B concerti, and chamber music. I just love chamber music. From piano trio to quintet, quartet, even duet, everything. Yeah.
That's what makes music so exciting. There's so many different varieties and types, and you can never get bored because there's so many different avenues. So Wanzhe, what's your favorite repertoire? What do you enjoy? What are your favorite roles that you identify with?
Well, my favorite role, I probably would say it's La Traviata, like the Violetta. Well, I think that's the dream for all the sopranos, even though I never get a chance to sing the full roles. I think sometimes if you really admire or love something, you just want to keep it like in your ideally in your mind. And beyond that, I sang Donna Anna from the Don Giovanni a lot recent years. And I really enjoyed that role, and I think it fits my voice really well.
Such a great role. Did you sing that with my friend Greg Buchalter, Maestro Greg Buchalter as well?
Yes, my debut was with Greg, and we sang that. It's a new production in Serbia, Belgrade, and that was back to 2018. And it was in the summer, like the organizer was kind of like afraid of like the ticket selling, but we did a fantastic job. Like the 2 shows are all sold out. And that show, it's still like that production has been traveling from Serbia in different locations, and we bring that to Boston last year for the Universal Artists Festival. And so we had this fantastic director teams, Alexander Ilich and Alexander Nikolic, and obvious like our favorite friend Greg as the conductor. And so we did that a lot, the productions.
That's great. It's so much fun making connections with artists across the world, and to bring them here and to go there. That's what makes art so special. It's such an international art form that we can engage with our colleagues in such an personal way.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. We love doing it.
And Greg says hello. Maestro Buchhalter says hello. We were just talking before the show today, and he's like, "Please tell him I send my best."
Okay. Yeah, and we played the Sibelius Concerto together. Greg was conducting.
Of course, wonderful.
Great experience. Yeah, working with.
So now we've had this incredibly challenging time. The COVID virus hits. It brings classical music and most of the world to kind of a standstill. How does that change? Now, I know we've all experienced such incredible changes. How has it affected both of you? Just give me some of the huge points. And what have you been doing that you might not normally have been doing?
Well, my experience, my life schedule used to be half in New York, half in Boston, because I have both jobs. And also I'm teaching in Boston, have the steady, have a little music training school there. And also combined with some of once per month, I'm going to Europe about like 7 to 10 days for organizing concerts, or I'm performing myself. So once the pandemic hit in the beginning of March, I have to switch all of my teaching to online teaching, which is not very new to me because both of us has been teaching Chinese students while we are in the States online. But that was, at the time we didn't experience Zoom. We were joking like it's Zoom, like German, my it's Zoom, okay. So anyway, it is a challenge for me to teach online group lesson. That's my first challenge of doing that, because the time delayed and then to like classroom organize and everything, that was my first challenge. But somehow I think the positive side, I think I take the advantage of all the features the program have. And so I can bring more of more variety of teaching rather than the regular teaching in the classroom. Add up like more interesting events or like music or the videos or also coloring. So the younger kids, they enjoyed it a lot. And so beyond teaching, unfortunately, all the performances of 2020 has been canceled. All of us, like everything canceled. That is a big hit, but there's nothing we could do. We just do our best and then try to gathering with our communities and try to bring music for our communities to make everybody feel well. One of my students, 6 years old, she said like music heals. Music is a cure, and I do believe that. So we try to arrange the online concert, and we are doing like the productions all together by pre-recorded parts and then put it together. So yeah, that's probably the most challenging part for my life.
Yeah, music is, especially with communities, it's such an important way to keep our communities together. We all lament the professional opportunities, of course, but it's great to hear that you're providing for that community, that you're keeping that community intact. How about
Matt? Sure. The Matt gave the last performance in March. Back in March, I think that was 12th or 11th. It was a Così fan tutte. And then we haven't got a chance to play anything, at the Met again. It's almost like, it's more than half a year right now, right? Almost like 30 weeks. yeah, it's strange. On one hand, it feels like just feel like yesterday, but well, time feels slow, and then time feels so fast. It's like this is illusion. There's something wrong with it, and yeah, well, since we're not getting paid, of course, yeah, the good thing is that I got to do a lot of things I didn't get a chance to. Like I cook. I learned well. I improved my cooking skills quite a lot, and I read a lot. I could read a lot, and then even as she mentioned, I would arrange certain things. I even yeah, I arranged the Chopin, the C sharp minor etude, opus 10. Yeah, just arrange that on the violin, and then I think it's a very good etude on the violin too. So all this kind of that stuff, I think yeah, that's good. And then yeah, it's just that we don't get to work. I mean, you don't have a schedule. That's the thing. Well, when there's a schedule, you have to follow it, and then you really you got to do what shows on the schedule. But when you don't have that, it just feels like you gotta figure something out. Otherwise, you will be crazy, right? And then I teach online, um, not too much, but I still do. But the thing is, I think the pandemic also brought the freshness. I don't know if you can what I'm talking about here. Well, you want to have a routine day. You just get up, breakfast, take the subway to the mat and rehearsal, come back home to the nap, lunch, and then go back plan the show, come back, and something like that. Well, of course. I mean, in Chinese, I don't know how to exactly describe it in English, but it would say it's a comfort zone, something like yeah, you so got used to this routine, and then there's not much freshness in your mind, and this, after you open your eyes, you really have to make it out by yourself. What you gonna do today? Yeah. Well, also sometimes I just say, yeah, nothing today. I just stay in the bed. But still, you got the freedom to choose what you want to do. And also, I think it's very important to be, not to be pessimistic. I think, it's just that, half glass full or half glass empty question, right? Yeah. Uh, uh, okay. 2 weeks ago, I think I went down to one of my friends to read some string quartet. And then usually, when people play chamber music, they want to, sit as close as possible.
Of course.
That, and easily, yeah, hear things more easily, playing together more easily. And then because of the pandemic, we just took one each took a corner of the living room, and then played so distantly. But you know what? I think I learned something from it. It's really something new, brand new experience, right? And you really have to actually pay more attention to other people and listen more carefully. I think it's actually a good thing for your ears. And then the teaching part is, of course, to teach, I think the ideal ways, like, face to face, of course, you want to be touching the students sometimes if necessary and to demonstrate something directly. But with this, just two-dimension screen, you really have to, it requires both the teacher side and the student side more patience and, more concentration as well. So yeah, that's another something, new teaching skills. Otherwise, who knows? Maybe there's something you have to have in the future, and yeah. Another example would be our building, our place is quite close to the Manhattan School of Music. So we have some pianists in this building, some singers, of course, and then some other violinists right above there. Yeah, and well. There's normal life. I just, after the show, I come back, I hear music playing in the building. I was like, oh my God, give me a break. And then right now, it's like, when I hear the music being played around me, it's like, the musicians or even the students, the musicians, they're still hanging there. I mean, they didn't lost the hope. And I got so touched. And I think, the music does matter, indeed. And yeah, well, I think it's just we gotta keep ourselves positive, and even this is not even Shawshank, But if it is, we can find a way out.
Well, you're both such positive people that you can see, you can feel both of your energy. You're both such great positive energy, and this will end. This will have to end, and we will come back and dig out of this one way or the other. And I think that creative people, I'm always amazed by the creativity of the artistic community. People find a way to make music happen, and they find a way to be creative and to express themselves. Have you both been doing online projects and performances and those type of new electronic media?
We did, if that counts, at the very beginning of the pandemic, one of our Chinese Musician Association's members' mom got diagnosis. What's the word? Diagnosed.
Sure.
Diagnosed the COVID. But the mom is in China and the kids is in the States, so the kids cannot get back at that point. And so we all worried about both the mom and the daughter. So the Universal Artists Foundation decided we want to do something for the mom. And the mom really want to hear the kids playing the music. So we were gathering all of the members of our community, and including a lot of my younger students. And also invited the musician from the Met, from the BSO, from the Greek National Opera, and also some musicians from Serbia, where I work very frequently recently with. We recorded Jupiter, the Jupiter
host.
From
the host,
by
yes, by host. So we arranged that, and we made this online product to send it to the mom. So as our it's our heart for her. And luckily she got out and she is healed, and we were so happy about that. And also Boston Chinese Musician Association had this Music Heals online concerts, and each of individual present a favorite piece of themselves. This kind of thing we did. But I think Tramm did something different with the orchestra.
Sure. I think that's in the math videos that he mentioned earlier, right? And besides that, also, there are musicians passed away during this time, and one of them was actually quite close to me. And on that week, we stopped working. Actually, we had another concert to play. 3 days later. It was trying to say, well, who knows? It might be the last performance of the month, but he didn't realize that actually the last performance at all for him. But anyway, so I was really shocked. So I just invited 2 other German musicians to play this Pafan by Fauré, and then to record it virtually, individually, and try to pull everything together to memory our friend. And that video is on YouTube. I really it's a hard time, but I try to do something through the music, sending expressions, and then to memory, to memorize him. And what else?
You did.
Oh yeah, well I also played. Okay, yeah, that's something silly, but there's a video game when I was in the late 1980s called Contra. I don't know if you have heard of it.
I used to play that game.
Seriously, so how I found YouTube too. So one day I just that music is just everyone knows that in China. Especially guys, everyone used to play that. So I said, why don't I just play that on the violin, maybe 2 different tracks, and then of course I don't play the cello, but I can sort of play. I bought a viola from one of my friends. So that's 3 individual tracks plus the game playing video up here, and just put everything. It turned out really great. It's cool. I really liked it. Yeah, that killed us for 3 days. I did. But yeah, I think as you said, varieties. Otherwise, when there's like a routine, you go do this, do that, and then yeah, it's nice to do some, sometimes non-classical music too. And then when we go back to China, I think soon we're going back to China since the match won't be open, in nearly another year. So yeah, I will teach, I will play, concerts with orchestras, and I'll be doing recording sessions, even play some non-classical, pop concerts. It could be anything. I like that. I'm really looking forward to that.
That's a good variety. Keeps you fresh and interested in many different things. So what's the state of Chinese art today? Are things opening back up in China? How are they adapting to the post-COVID or this new chapter of the COVID world?
Yeah, from last month, actually, the whole China, all the music organizations are reopened. All the major orchestras and concert hall are opening, and they announced the 2020 to 2021 season. It's really exciting news. And the policy now in China is everybody need to keep like the social distance in the concert hall, and all the audiences are wearing the mask for the entire concert. And so that can keep everybody safe in a very secure way, I would say. Plus, like the number of the China has been controlled pretty well, and a lot of like it was a joke. I took it at the first, but now it's like it becomes to a live thing. Nowadays, you need to have your phone with a QR code. The QR code is a health QR code.
Oh.
So when you enter the building, you have to scan your QR code, and it shows your record. And it keep tracking where you were, and if there's anybody who got like tested for the COVID, at least the people who are around that time of the appearance can be tracked. So in this way, you cannot enter a concert hall without a like a green QR code. So. But that's a way how the organization can keep running, and that's the way all the musicians can playing together, and a lot of new ways as well. The orchestras, they are broadcasting online, so they take not only the live concert, they also broadcast that on the local Chinese channels, so the audience can enjoy that online or on the TV. So that's something very impressive. And when we have scheduled for some concerts in November with one of the major orchestra in China. So we are be able to play with the orchestra in that way.
That'll be. What do you think that's going to be like when you come back and you actually work with a live orchestra again and do some performing? What do you think that's going to be like?
I think it will be really exciting, and
we'll be really thankful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To hear the music from the back, and like standing on the stage, and to see the audience sitting there and full of like you can tell from their eyes, and I think I'll be really emotional to back on the stage.
Yeah.
Well, we all look forward to those days when we're in front of our colleagues again and people we miss. But I'm glad to hear that the music's starting to open up. I know I have a colleague in Europe who sang Barber of Seville yesterday, and I'm like, oh, that's great. Their performances opening up, and they're starting to open up in Europe. They're starting to opening up. I guess they're opening up in China. So I think we're going to be a little after that, but due to the way that we're supported here in America. But hopefully we start to see that trend coming out here too as well.
Yeah,
sure,
definitely
yeah.
will. Yes.
Well, I want to thank you both so much. How can people find out more about each of your work?
On
YouTube.
YouTube.
I guess, yeah.
Okay. Well,
I said something silly, but that's us, Yeah.
So both have YouTube channels, so I'll direct people there. Do you have a website so we can get the Boston Chinese Musicians Association?
Yes, the Boston Chinese Musician Association are like during this pandemic, we are updating our website. We want to build up our own like online library for like the musicians and non-musicians, and so soon it will be opened. And the website is bostonchinesemusicians.org. And welcome to join us, and welcome to support us. It's a nonprofit organization.
I encourage everyone who's listening and watching to check out both of these wonderful artists and great spirits. Thank you so much for joining us on Music Matters 2020, and continued success.
Thank you,
so
Jason.
much,
It's
Jason.
really nice to talk to you.
Thank you for joining us on Music Matters 2020. Remember to subscribe to us here on YouTube and hit that bell for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. On Sundays, our next show, we have Jim Neglia, who's the timpanist at the Jacksonville Symphony, who just started their season and socially distanced with a socially distanced audience as well. And he's also an author, and he's a very well-known contractor for music events all over the country and the world. So I hope you would join us, and thank you so much for joining us on Music Matters 2020. And remember, keep music alive. Good night.